Hey guys, I just had some thoughts on my mind tonight and I wanted to share them with you. And I guess those thoughts would start with, I am so glad that I decided to have kids. I am so thankful and just blown away that I was so smart to adopt some kids and create some kids. There was this thing inside of me that just couldn't be satisfied without having some children and going out and adopting some children so that they could serve me. I mean, that place in my heart would have never been fulfilled. I am so thankful that I had this desire to be worshiped, and I had somebody who could serve me and could do all the stuff that I needed them to do, and they could spend their whole lives trying to figure out how to please me. And oh, there was another thing. I am so thankful that they could go out and tell other people about me, so that maybe they would want to be my kid too. But here's the thing. I actually have sat down with one of my children, like Alex, and I told him, I said, you know, your brother Logan is not doing anything that I asked him to do, and well, I'm not going to give him a reward this week. And I'm not going to sit down and spend time with him because I can't be in his presence because of all the bad things that he's doing. And you know, I was thinking about having another child, but I decided not to do it because it's just so much work getting them to want to be my kid. I mean, I've got to do all that convincing, and I've got to like reveal myself to them, and like, it's just so exhausting. But I am so glad that I decided to have the ones that I did. And I'm glad that I decided to adopt some too, and take them in so that I wouldn't have to discard them if they didn't have a place or a person that loved them. It's absurd, isn't it? It is the most absurd video I've ever made. But I was watching some stuff this afternoon, and don't get me wrong, listen, I honor you in the place that you are, and you are free to believe anything that you want. But I also get to believe what I want to, and it is the most absurd thing that I have ever even thought or conceived in my mind, that God decided to create us to serve Him. I didn't have my children so that they could bow at my feet. I didn't go to the doctor and find that there was a fetus in my womb and begin to think about all the things that my kids could do for me. I never once have thought, and I'm not even a perfect mom, okay? I have a lot of flaws when it comes to parenting. I have a lot to learn. But I've never freaking once thought about getting rid of my children because they don't want me to be their mom. And let me tell you something. That has happened a lot. A lot. Not just once. Not just twice. A lot. Okay? You may not know my story, but guess what? Our kids, they come from all different backgrounds. They come with all different kinds of needs. They come with all different kinds of genetic makeups. And it's not every day that our family is just hunky-dory great, okay? And there has never once been a moment that I could even wrap my brain around even a tiny notion to get rid of one of my children because they don't want me to be their mom. It doesn't matter if they want me to be their mom or not. I am their mom, and I will continue to be forward-facing toward them. I will continue to love them every day, even if there are times when I'm frustrated and it's hard. And that's me and my human nature. And you want to convince me that the perfection of creation, the perfection of love, the very fabric of grace can't handle us being a little confused about our beliefs? I can certainly tell you that if I, in my human form, couldn't toss my child into a bonfire and then light a match, all because they didn't want me to be their mother, then I have a really hard time wrapping my pretty little brain around the fact that perfection could do it. Now, I say all that to say, if you were to take a little bit of time and you were to truly get still and you were to allow all that you've been taught to be pushed aside, and all the studying that you've done, and all the memorizing that you've done, and you were to get real with yourself, I think maybe it's quite possible some of these major, massive belief systems that we have fallen prey to might begin to fall apart. Now, am I saying that you need to believe like me? No, I'm only sharing my experience as a parent. I'm only sharing the way that I see God experience His parenthood with me. And I can tell you that since I was a little bitty girl, I have been very aware that God was there. Before I ever hit the age of accountability, and before I ever even knew that there was a prayer that needed to be said, before I ever knew that there was some kind of thing that I needed to do, I just knew. Before I ever knew that there was a thing to do, I just knew. And if you had never told me that there was something called G-O-D, I would have already known it. Because no matter what I had to do, I've always just known. Think on it tonight. Think about how absurd some of these things are that we believe. And tell me, could you toss your child into the bonfire? Could you turn your back on your child simply because they don't want you to be their mom or dad? Now, here's the thing. Sometimes we can do that. And that's where our belief system comes from. Our child slaps us in the face a million trillion times, and we get sick and tired of it, and we finally say, no more. I give up. And so because if we can do it, then we expect that God can do it. And I just wanted to encourage you to get still and to get real and to think about it. I'm going to go ahead and just end the video on that one. I love you. Have a great night. Word. Oh yeah, God's not mad at you, and He loves you just as you are, and you are His son or daughter. And you can't do anything about it. You're His kid, and it's not your fault.